Look, are you confused about this buzzword, digital transformation, and what it actually means? In the next 10 minutes, I'll give you one of the simplest explanations of what digital transformation is, and I'll also share the 3 essential pillars of digital transformation success. Let's dive in. Now let's go back in time and look at a classic case study of digital transformation. Do you remember Blockbuster Video? This is the place where you'd go in and rent movies on DVD and even videotape. In their heyday back in the early 2000s, Blockbuster had over 9,000 stores. They were practically in every high street. Well, you don't see them around anymore, right? That's because Netflix killed them. In this digital age, people can stream movies from the comfort of their TV or smartphone. The Blockbuster business model basically became obsolete due to the advancements in technology. Blockbuster made a strategic mistake, which was it failed to anticipate customer needs and preferences and how customers would want to watch movies in the future. And the sad part is, Blockbuster passed up on the opportunity to buy Netflix back in those early days, and the rest is history, as they say. Now, it's the same story for companies like Kodak that were once market leaders. Back in the day, everyone had a camera that was either a Kodak or a Polaroid. And remember, you also had to buy camera film, take it to a store for processing, and wait a week or so before you actually got your photos. Now, looking back, it was all a bit of a chore. Needless to say, advancements in digital technology have forever changed the way people take photos. Nowadays, every smartphone is effectively a camera and also a video recorder as well. Now notice how I focus a lot on the customer, how the customer prefers to watch movies, or how the customer prefers to take photos. It's about how the customer wants to do things, not necessarily how companies want them to do things. So let's sum this up in simple terms. Digital transformation isn't about using more IT. It's about improving and enhancing how a company operates, delivers value, and interacts with its customers. And it's important to bear in mind that technology is really the enabler here, not the goal. Technology will continue to evolve. It's not about chasing technology trends, but using that technology to better serve the customer. Now let's look at another classic case study of digital transformation that I'm sure most of you are familiar with, Uber. Now, when was the last time you took a taxi? I mean a real taxi. Now, the problem with taxis is that the customer is never sure how much they're going to end up paying. But with Uber, that problem is more or less solved. So which do you think the majority of customers prefer? I think the answer is pretty clear. That's not to say that traditional taxis will disappear, but they will need to adapt in order to stay relevant. Here's the thing, if companies don't invest in digital transformation and their competitors do, they might end up going out of business like a Blockbuster or a Kodak. And for many companies, it might be a matter of long-term survival. So it's not surprising when we hear of companies spending millions of dollars and thousands of hours on digital transformation initiatives. But here's where companies make a mistake and often end up with egg on the face. They buy some expensive software or adopt some fancy AI tool, thinking that they're doing digital transformation. In reality, however, unless those things help customers in some real tangible way, they often end up wasting money. In fact, a report by the Boston Consulting Group, a leading strategic consulting firm, indicated that 70% of digital transformation initiatives fail to deliver on expectations. Yes, that's a shocking 70% failure rate. So this is the classic case of overpromising and under-delivering, and not a new issue when it comes to making significant investments in IT. This leads me on to the next part of the video, namely the 3 essential pillars that are required to make digital transformation a success. Pillar number 1, customer experience. Now, I've touched upon this already. Digital transformation is about making things better and easier for the customer. Have you seen those kiosks in fast food restaurants? Yes, those kiosks are designed to make it easier and faster for the customer to make their orders. Many restaurants also allow you to scan a QR code and order directly from your phone. All of this saves the customer the hassle of having to queue. Whenever we talk about customer experience, it's often helpful to think about the outcomes and metrics that are relevant to customers. For example, cutting the waiting time for customers to make an order from an average of 3 minutes to 30 seconds. And I do want to point out that digital transformation isn't just for big companies, it's for smaller ones too. Case in point, even my local barber has launched an app where I can see how long the queue is and for a small fee even jump the queue. Pillar number 2, operational agility. This is really about changing the way a company works in order to be more efficient and agile. Now, this is often a challenge, particularly in big companies. They have their processes set up in a certain way. They have teams organized around specific functions. There's a management structure, so things are generally very inflexible and not easy to change. Imagine a bank that still insists you fill out a paper form in order to open a bank account. The bank then scans that form into a PDF file and emails it to the accounts department. That's not digital transformation. That's just digitizing an existing process, which does little to make the customer's job any better or easier. So I want to make an important distinction here. Digitization, where you take a paper form and turn it into a PDF or even an online form, is not the same as digital transformation. It's like using digital at a surface level without really changing anything underneath, which is why operational agility is so important. Operational agility means being prepared to fundamentally re-engineer, streamline and automate processes if required. It involves removing all the unnecessary steps. Think about rewiring the organization so that it works in a different, more efficient and customer-focused way. Now, this is far easier said than done because it involves thinking differently, and that requires a change in mindset and behavior that not all organizations are fully prepared for. Let's move on to the final pillar, pillar number 3, technology integration. This is about having the right technology and tools to make everything work in a seamless way. Now, if your software requires you to do 10 steps when you really just want to do one step, then you might be using the wrong application. But here's where it can get tricky. Most organizations don't build their own software applications from scratch. It's just too expensive to do so. So what they will usually do instead is buy or license software applications from vendors in the market. And sometimes it's hard to customize these applications in the way that they would like. And integrating all the applications so that they work together in a seamless way does require technical expertise. And in many cases, a company will need to rely on IT vendors to help sort this out. So let's do a quick recap of the 3 pillars of digital transformation success. They are, number 1, customer experience, number 2, operational agility, and number 3, technology integration. Hopefully by now you appreciate that digital transformation is not just another IT project. It's much bigger than that. It's about rethinking the business and preparing it for a digital future. Now, my general advice to organizations looking at digital transformation is not to try and do everything all at once in a big bang approach. That's often far too risky for most organizations and doesn't leave much margin for error. Instead, an organization should identify smaller, more manageable projects that it can work on within an overarching strategic direction. You have to remember that things in the business landscape can change very quickly, so setting in stone some long-term plan often doesn't make much sense. It's far better for an organization to try and remain nimble and agile. And remember, it's ultimately about doing things which help make things better and easier for the customer. Now, did I miss anything? If so, please add them to the comments below. And here are some other videos that you might find useful.